Hello, I am Emmy. I am 15 and I am the most ordinary schoolgirl. We say about such people, an invisible person. But it turned out that if you offend me, I can get very angry and aggressive. And then, keep your eyes open. Although, since childhood, my mother kept telling me, Emmy, you're a girl. You must be gentle and soft. Don't get bullied. Don't fight. You are a princess. And I tried. Really? Another children take away my toy, and I smile. I get a slap on the back of the head from a girlfriend in the park. I bite my teeth and endure. At school, anyone could bully me. I did not give change to anyone because I am a princess. Calm, sweet, and boring. This is how I was when I was 15. I walked down the school corridor with my head down. 3 more lessons and home. Then homework, we'll bake an apple pie with mom, a TV series for the night, and sleep.
Hey, get out of my way!
Suddenly sounded over my head. I jumped up in surprise. The tall guy practically pinned me to the school locker and rushed on like a whirlwind. The other guys were running after him. Oh, those guys! They think everything is allowed. I mumbled under my breath, getting ready for class. The bell rang. The mathematician entered the classroom. A minute later, the door to the classroom opened with a roar, and on the threshold stood the same guy who almost knocked me down in the corridor.
Can I come in? My name is Dylan. I'm new. Sorry for the delay.
And he smiled so charmingly at the teacher that she nodded in response. And it was not only the teacher who was shocked. I felt with my back how all the girls in the class sighed noisily. Dylan was a cute guy who was very self-confident. And then, the unexpected happened. Please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell, and I will continue. Dylan's eyes scanned the classroom as he slowly moved down the aisle. A minute later, I heard a sugary hello. The guy landed on the only empty seat in the class, and it was right next to me. Lessons passed in a blur. My hands, knees, even my teeth sometimes trembled. Dylan saw that I was nervous, and he added fuel to the fire. It's as if he accidentally touches me with his elbow, and then he drops the pen from my side. After the lessons, I flew out of the classrooms like a bullet. Hurry up! Get out of here! Where are you in a hurry? Right at the exit from school, I ran into Heather, our queen bee in the class. She stood with her arms outstretched belligerently and looked at me defiantly. Heather was a star, beautiful, long-legged, with luxurious hair. She knew her worth and did not know my name. Yes, she peered at me, trying to remember, but in vain. The RAM in her head was not enough to store the name of some moth. In short, you do not even look at him. I'm getting this handsome guy. Understood? And Heather loomed over me, flashing her brightly painted eyes. I nodded quickly and ran away. Yes, take this Dylan with giblets for yourself. Painfully needed. The next day at school, the place next to me was occupied. Heather shoved her friend across the desk into it, and the empty space was now, of course, next to Heather. But Dylan didn't show up to school that day, and the next one too. Girlfriend again moved to Heather. A week later, late again. Dylan appeared on the threshold of the class again. And sure enough, he landed next to me again. Behind Heather, she growled softly in impotence. And I was so glad to see him that I even whispered, "Hello." He smiled but did not say anything in response. Yes, I understand. Who am I to greet him? Another empty seat in the classroom. After school, I hurried home. There was no mood at all. And suddenly something hit me in the back. I turned around. Heather. This snake threw an apple at my back, and this girl has more than enough strength because her shoulder began to ache. If you talk to him again, I'll knock your teeth out. Got it? Well, how can I compete with this long-legged otter in heels? And I slowly began to back up in order to have time to escape at the right moment, and rested against something soft and warm. Dylan. I pressed against his chest. He looked at me in surprise, then at Heather.
Girls, what are you doing here? Battle on apples?
He picked up from the ground the same green weapon that flew at me a couple of minutes ago. Heather immediately turned into a soft, fluffy kitten. She said, "Yes, we're just here. These are such jokes, and..."
Stupid jokes. If you hit Emily in the head, there would be a bruise or even a concussion. This is not a joke.
Heather turned pale. She realized that her chance to quickly and successfully seduce the handsome man was missed, and I wanted to jump for happiness. He knows my name. He knows.
Let's go. I'll take you so that you don't fall under apple shelling again.
And we with him, showing the back of the stunned Heather, walked down the street. Thank you for standing up. I didn't really know how to start a conversation.
Dylan looked at me carefully. You need to put her in her place. Otherwise, it will never end. Or do you like being a whipping girl?
That's how I was raised. I don't fight. I don't swear. I don't fight.
Dylan chuckled. You have to be able to stand up for yourself. You will become more confident. You'll be reckoned with. I'll help you if you let me.
This guy knew how to surprise. An hour later, we entered a small hall. In the middle was a boxing ring. There was a big pair. Dylan handed me boxing gloves, but the girls do not.
I began to argue. Don't fight, I remember. But boxing is not about fighting. It's about the ability to take a hit.
Dylan showed me a couple of tricks, told me how to move around the ring. We spent over an hour in the hall. I even hit the bag a couple of times. It was such an interesting feeling. For the first time, hit back. After training, we sat for a while in a pizzeria. Dylan showed me his photo from 3 years ago, and I was shocked. A thin, round-shouldered guy with frightened eyes was looking at me. It's you! Dylan nodded and said that he, too, was the same inconspicuous empty place as I was. But one day, a big gang of teenagers beat him half to death. He was in the hospital for almost a month, and there he was, helped by the attending physician. Every day, he motivated Dylan, supported him, told him that he had to learn how to take a punch. And then he took me to boxing, and it helped a lot. There was no trace of that frightened boy, and Dylan promised himself to help the same insecure teenagers as he was. From that day on, little inconspicuous Emmy, that is, me, began to change. I ran to boxing training 3 times a week. I began to notice changes in the mirror. Walking became more confident. I stopped slouching, began to walk with my head held high. Thanks to the physical body tightened, and I changed my baggy sweatpants to tight jeans. Dylan noticed my transformations and constantly praised for perseverance and work. And I fell in love. Ran to school to see Dylan. I tried to come to boxing training to catch him. I was ready to listen to his stories about self-confidence until the night. But he looked at me like a friend. There was never even a hint of sympathy. He respected, praised me, joked, smiled, and I wanted him to hold me tight and kiss me. 2 months have passed. I began to like myself, and I started to like other guys. Suddenly, Emmy became noticeable. Once in the locker room, we ran into Heather. She, as usual, tried to push me away to get through, but I grabbed her hand tightly and looked straight into her eyes. Look, next time you will be torn off the wall. From that moment on, I was no longer afraid of anyone. Of course, an hour later, the whole school was whispering about it. Dylan laughed for a long time when I told him in colors how Heather turned pale and slid down the wall after my firm grip. That's your merit, Dylan. He believed in me. And I, on emotions, threw myself on his neck and hugged him tightly, kissed him. Dylan froze in place.
Don't, Emmy.
He gently took my hands off my neck.
It's your merit. You have changed yourself. You have become the Emmy you always wanted to be. And I'm very proud of you.
It was painful. He does not like me. Everyone around likes me, but he does not. I wanted to hide somewhere in the corner and sob. I trudged home, locked myself in the room and laid down in bed, just staring at the ceiling. I didn't want anything. I fell asleep, woke up late at night. My stomach rumbled, and I quietly opened the door. Suddenly, my parents had already settled down. I stomped into the kitchen for something to eat, but someone was in the kitchen. I heard my mother's voice. I understand everything. Yes, thank you for helping her so much. She really has changed. Got more confident. Then we closed the contract and payment on the card. Dylan, thanks again. Dylan? Contract? Payment? What's happening? I ran into the kitchen, barely holding back tears. Darling, I thought you were sleeping. Dylan was friends with me for money? Did you hire him? Dylan is a very smart and talented guy. He's almost a genius. Helped so many teenagers. And helped you. Mom obviously couldn't find the words. A step away from hysteria, I ran to my room and locked myself in the room. He couldn't fall in love with me. I was just a project for him. Dylan never showed up at school again. They said he transferred to another school. I wasn't surprised. I knew I would never see him again. But this time, I didn't give up. Continued training, and soon I even went on a date with one guy from a parallel class. The school year is over. It's already summer. It was only now that I realized that I was no longer mad at Dylan. The insults are gone, gratitude remains. The student fell in love with her mentor. What's so strange? But he really helped me a lot. I have learned to take a hit. I hope you enjoy this story, although a bit sad. And you too will straighten your shoulders, raise your head higher, and enjoy life.